Welcome to Sci-Fi Quest. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Um, well, I think that's so far that's the best episode of Picard. They're certainly certainly showing that they want to do better, and I think in the first two episodes of season three we've actually had more ship shots than any other episode. Um, they're really showing off their beauty shots. Even when they show the Shrike from the final scene in episode one, it you can tell it's a beauty shot. There's nothing else to say about it, and it is a beautiful looking ship considering it's a bad guy. Uh, we find out why the Shrike is called the Shrike, and I'd agree with it. I mean, the Shrike does peck at its prey, and then bring it down. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. Um, Again, the Titan, it's growing on me. I mean, it's looking better and better every single time I see it. It just looks better and better. I mean, the beauty shots alone are the best we've seen so far in Picard. Um, although I don't understand why it has so many impulse engines. I mean, you wouldn't have thought it would need that many. I mean, it's a classical design with modern aspects, and you would think that it be having modern impulse engines would be enough. I mean, having six impulse engines would indicate that it's a fast ship, but we don't see that in any of the episodes yet, so we don't actually understand how fast it is at sublight. But I'm looking forward to finding out if it is actually fast. Um, the the thing is, I going into this episode, I did not like Shaw, um, the captain of the Titan, because I thought he's boring. You know, in episode one, and it's just you just get the impression that he doesn't want to do anything. He just wants to captain his ship and keep out of harm's way. Um, but I mean, he's been forced into a situation that he doesn't want to be in, and it's clear that he doesn't want to be in. Um, but in this episode, I actually starting to like him. I'm actually starting to like him quite a bit, actually, as a character. Um, there are many unknown aspects to it. I mean, there is a mention about a psych report or something later on in the episode, but we'll look forward to finding out more about him because I mean he's obviously becoming more of a likable guy. It might just be that he had no loyalty to Riker or Picard, so he has no reason to do anything for him. But I never liked the way he took it out on Seven at all. I mean, it's just ridiculous. That's his commanding officer. Uh, but yeah, um, let's move on. So we keep getting these beautiful shots of the Shrike, and I can't remember the name of that ship. It is probably um, because it's not a particularly important ship as it stands. I mean, it's getting destroyed in early on, so it's not an important ship. I think is it the Esther or the Aster? I can't remember exactly, but it's not important to me. I mean, and it's not a particularly good looking ship, um, but it's interesting. It's an interesting to design, but I mean, you put the Shrike there in front of it, like it's in this image, and it doesn't compare to the Shrike. But I mean, it doesn't compare to the Titan either because it is what appears to be an old ship compared to the Titan. I mean, it looks really old, and I'm not sure what class it is. I mean, I don't particularly care. I'm glad we don't have to see it too much. I suspect that we'll be seeing it in flashbacks later on in the season, but it's not a particularly important ship to me, in my opinion. Um, However, we get the opening sequence, and it's the title as usual, and the episode Disengage part two, Disengage. Uh, well, interesting title names that they're using in this. I mean, the first one was The Next Generation, and this one's Disengage. Imaginative, I suppose. And then we get Shaw and Seven. They have a conversation that I don't like because he seems to have an issue with loyalty. Um, but she hasn't been in command on that ship for that long. I mean, if I remember rightly, this is supposed to be 3 years after season 2 ended. So she's probably been in Starfleet for 3 years, which means that she's probably been a commander for, oh, probably not long at all, probably a matter of months, because she would have had to have still gone through some of the Starfleet training at the academy. She's got time served, so she'll move up in the ranks. But I mean, they put her as the first officer on a ship with a captain who, I don't. It's not that he's a stickler for the rules; it's that he doesn't want to do anything, and it's clear in this he doesn't want to get involved with any situation. Um, but we'll see what he's like later on, because, like I say, by the end of this episode, I actually start to appreciate him, and I'm starting to like him. But whether he's going to stay like that is a different story. Um, but we go back to the Shrike, and I can't remember the name of the ship. I think it's the Asta. Can't be sure. But the comparison between those ships is incredible. I mean, you look at the Shrike and you think, wow, that's a warship. But then you got that horrible looking ship that is not an important ship in my opinion. Like I say, but then the Shrike grabs it with the tractor beam, and it's good. It's a nice visual. It's a brilliant visual, and then all of a sudden, Titan comes in and gets in the way of the tractor beam, and tractor beam disengages. And then they rescue Picard and Riker, Beverly and Jack. And then the Shrike is circling like a bird of prey would above its prey, circling around. But beautiful shots. They're all. I mean, this season has got some beautiful shots. We get inside. We get the Captain Vadik. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. And I'm not sure about this Vadik, because I think she seems an intelligent captain. She's capable of doing anything she wants to do. I mean, she wants Jack, plain and simple. She wants Jack. There's a bounty on him, but I mean, I can't understand how a bounty hunter would have a ship like the Shrike. A mercenary, yeah, but a bounty hunter? I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, they would want something small and fast. They wouldn't want something big and intimidating like the Shrike. I mean, a mercenary I can understand, definitely, but we don't know much about her at the moment. But it's the introduction of her and the crew of the Titan, with Jack standing there, and Jean-Luc, Picard, and Riker, Shaw, Seven. And then she does something that we've only ever seen in Lower Decks. She sets the tractor beam onto the other ship and throws it at the Titan. And we see a lovely scene of the Titan from the Titan's bridge on the view screen. We see the ship actually coming towards them. And, and they manage to raise the shields before it hits. And then, the concussive force alone would have been able to overwhelm parts of that ship and damage it. I mean, I think that's what happens in it anyway. But yeah, I mean, you see a lovely impact, and the other ship just disintegrates from the impact. That's something we've only seen that sort of technique in Lower Decks, and I think it was it season 2 of Lower Decks? I can't remember. I think it was season 2. It might be wrong, but yeah, it's interesting. The all that debris from the damage, from the destruction of that ship hitting the Titan, it was incredible. It's incredible footage. It's great to watch with the with the Shrike in the background, in the distance there. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that it was that far away, to be honest. But yeah, then we get Picard talking to Jack in the brig, and it's a massive brig for one person. Yeah, and Jean-Luc's talking to him. So he said, talking about how he's a thief and stuff like that, a smuggler. Yeah, we didn't really get anything from this scene. So I mean, the only thing we get is that Jean-Luc has a problem with his confidence. He doesn't seem as confident as he used to be as a captain. I mean, he's obviously, I don't know if he retired twice from Starfleet at the rank of admiral, so he's retired now again, which I suppose I can understand, but I mean, it's just bad to see Jean-Luc Picard, a normally very confident, very capable captain, and all of a sudden he seemed weak, and he doesn't have the confidence. He lacks the confidence now. I just don't understand. I just couldn't understand why. Then we get all this stuff. We get this reveal that that Worf is what appears to be either Starfleet intelligence or Section 31. It's likely to be Section 31 because Section 31 is mentioned in this episode. I'm sorry, I'm skipping a lot of the Raffi stuff. It's just that to me, Raffi is not a particularly good character. I mean, the actress is great. It's just I don't like her character in this. I haven't through the entire show anyway, because I mean, season 1 she literally had nothing to do. Season 2 barely anything to do. She was just there, and now she's back in Starfleet security, and she's working with Worf, and Worf is her handler. And we have a nice fight scene, but I don't want to go through all that. I mean, it's better to watch it, but I'm not going to give away too much of the scenes. And yeah, it was a great introduction. It's great to see Worf back, but I don't understand from the trailer. I don't know if it was false, like giving you a false idea of what Worf was going to be like, because in the trailer, Worf comes aboard the Titan, I presume, and he's in front of Picard, and he says, and he says to Riker or Picard or both that he prefers pacifism now. And for someone who's supposed to be a pacifist, the first time we see him, he's cutting people's heads off. Yeah, I don't think he's a pacifist. But yeah, we're back at the Titan with the Shrike, and this is where we end up with Jack in the cell asking the security guy what level the shield on the brig is, and and he says, level 10. Okay, fine. And then he disables the force field and knocks out the guard and takes the weapon and leaves. And then we see Riker after they found out. I think this is after they find out about the security breach. Riker comes along to the medical bay and he revives. He revives Beverly, and then he takes her to the bridge, and we get a look. We get a look between Picard and Beverly. Picard's looking at her like he hadn't seen her in 20 years, I think it was, and there's this 30-year-old kid or something, and he's curious, and it's the first time he's seen her awake for 20 years. So I mean, you would think that he would smile or something, but it's just like a look of surprise on his face, and then Beverly looks at him and looks down, and then he's looking at her again as in inquisitive, and he's like, "Is he?" Beverly's like, without saying a word, she's basically acknowledging, yes, Jack is your son. And then all of a sudden, Picard, Jean-Luc gets a enormous boost in confidence. This is his son, so he's going to do whatever he can to protect his son. And he issues orders just like the old captain he was. He is now the confident captain that he always was. But even though he's a retired admiral, but he's the confident captain in command that he should be. And then Shaw's why are we doing this? Why are we doing this for him? And then Picard says to him, because he's my son. And then Shaw's like, oh my God, we're all going to die. Basically, not in those words, but it's basically. And then and then Picard, and he's just, okay, fine. And then this is before, this is when Jack hears Picard say, because he's my son, and 7 of 9's got a phaser pointed at him, and Jack's pointing the phaser at 7. And then we cut to this scene. I'm cutting to this scene because I don't want to give away too much stuff in between, because if you don't, I don't want you to watch this to see what happens. I want you to watch this to see my opinion, and a lot of the stuff that happens, it's a lot of action and there's a lot to talk about. If I go into it, I don't want to. However, in the background that middle ship, is it my imagination or is that the Lunar class Titan? Obviously, this is the Neo Constitution. I believe that's the Lunar class. So the Lunar class has now been canonized in Picard. But I'm not entirely sure what this is. Obviously, it's a previous version of the Titan. But you can't make out a lot. But there's, I'm pretty sure that there are going to be videos about that. And I will look into it and find out what the previous Titans were. But I'm pretty sure, like I say, so let me get it straight, that is the Titan Lunar class. That is the one that should be Riker's ship. The Titan A is not Riker's ship. It is a ship with the same name as Riker's previous command, or last command. So, there's going to be controversy. But, yeah. But the Lunar class looks so much better than the Titan. But, I'm just saying. So, this is where they're talking about it. And then, this is where Jean-Luc's saying, talking about talking to the captain, talking about what they're going to do, and he shouts out, "Engage!" And then they fire torpedoes. Interestingly, they're only firing torpedoes. Now, I don't remember hearing or seeing anything that would suggest that the phasers were out of commission. or damaged in any way. So I don't understand why they're only firing torpedoes. And why are they firing photon torpedoes when the standard weapon of this era should be quantum torpedoes, I would have thought. I mean, a new ship, one of the newest styles of ship, would have the newest weapons, wouldn't they? So it should be outfitted with quantums, not photonic torpedoes, quantum torpedoes. But I guess it's outfitted with both, but they just didn't want to use the most powerful torpedoes against a ship that size, which I would have done. I would have fired a full spread of quantums, and they're not firing a spread. They're firing one at a time. I think at this point they've fired 3 torpedoes. I don't get it. And then they head off, and I think they head off in full impulse, and we get the speed build up, and then they disappear into the nebula, and then that's it. Now we've got to wait until Thursday, the 2nd. But for us in the UK, it's going to be Friday the 3rd. Because I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was saying about it being out on Amazon on Thursday, and I said, but in the UK, it's not going to be available until Friday. And I was proven right, he was proven wrong, except he uses a VPN, which is why it was available for him. I don't use a VPN, and for 2 reasons. One, it's not fair on anyone who watches this video if I upload it on Friday. Well, if I made this video on Thursday and uploaded it, then it wouldn't be fair on anyone else who was watching my video, who wanted to watch my video, who hasn't seen it, because I don't want to do spoilers. I mean, I think spoilers ruin TV shows like this and any other shows, and I just don't like them. But anyway, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. And I hope you enjoyed this video, because I enjoyed making it. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.